All right, let's talk about the U-turn, getting out of sticky situations. Picture this. You're on a leisurely walk with your dog, and you were just thinking about how lucky you were to not see any distractions, when suddenly you turn a corner and there's a dog right in your dog's face. How many times has this happened to you? And how many times have you had to drag your dog away while they're lunging, barking, or growling? Not fun. Wouldn't it be nice if you could say a word or two and ask your dog to turn away from a distraction without having to drag them away? Well, this is what your U-turn will be for. Sometimes, no matter how vigilant you are on your walks, you'll bump into something unexpected. All of those unfortunate episodes add up to more stress for you and your dog. The quicker you can remove yourself and your dog from those situations, the better. It might seem pretty unrealistic now, but you can teach your dog to turn and move away from a distraction with you. You just have to put in the practice. Here's how to get started. Look at this as phase 1, learning the U-turn. Just before turning, you're going to put a treat right in front of your dog's face, then turn while still holding that treat in front of their nose. Once you've done a full turn, walk a few more steps, then give your dog the treat you were holding. Any idea why you're taking a few steps after turning before giving your dog the treat? Well, when you're turning off of a real distraction, you probably aren't going to hang out there. You usually have to get the heck out of there. Here's what the whole sequence for phase 1 looks like. 1. Hold a treat at your dog's nose as you start to turn. 2. Lead your dog with the treat as you turn away. 3. Complete the turn, still holding on to that treat. And 4. Walk a few feet before giving your dog that treat. In this phase, you're going to keep practicing until your dog is following you for the food lure at least 4 out of 5 times. Once your dog is doing that, you're ready to move on to phase 2, adding in a verbal cue. Here, you're going to follow the exact steps in phase 1, but this time, just before turning, you're going to give your dog a verbal cue. If your dog is delayed here and doesn't start to turn after giving your verbal cue, you can use your food lure again to help them turn and take a few steps. Make sure again that they don't eat that treat until you've taken a few steps after turning. Keep practicing until your dog starts to turn for your verbal cue alone. And remember, you should still feed them once you've turned and walked a few steps. So what should your verbal cue be? Anything you'd like, really. We suggest something short like let's go or turn. It should definitely be something that you're only saying when you actually need your dog to turn with you. I did have a really awesome dog guardian who's from New England, like myself, whose swearing came pretty naturally too. So you can imagine what he decided would be his U-turn cue for his dog. Phase 3, adding distractions. Now that you've given your dog the muscle memory and practice doing this skill where it's easy, you're going to add in some distractions. The big thing to remember with this skill, and with any training skill, is to add distractions slowly. For now, you should be using easy distractions that you can control, and not the distractions you're taking this course for. Any ideas? Many clients will use a partner or friend to practice off of, a toy placed on the ground, or food in a pile. Think of it like this. PhD level is your dog, you turning off of distractions like bikes, runners, dogs, or critters. Your dog is just learning this skill and is probably not quite there yet. We have to teach our dogs middle school, high school, and college before graduate level stuff. When you're practicing, if you find your dog is repeatedly getting it wrong, evaluate. Look at the distance of the distraction, the intensity of the distraction, and the time your dog has to be around the distraction. All of those will directly affect your dog's ability to respond to you and to train. So here's how to set up phase 3. Start conservatively with the distance your dog can be from the distraction before they start pulling towards it. Again, we want 4 or 5 successes in a row before decreasing the distance to the distraction. You can always use a food lure if your dog is not responding to your verbal cue. But if you find you're having to use a food lure more often than not, you're likely making your distractions too difficult too quickly. So again, you should start somewhere where it's easy. In your house, your backyard, your driveway, or a quiet sidewalk with no distractions around. While it may be tempting to jump the gun and move to really tough distractions, you won't be successful. Behavior change starts where it's easy. From there, you'll work with easier distractions your dog likes and isn't afraid of or frustrated by. Every time you make a distraction harder, start your U-turn further away at first. Finally, you can add in working with the distractions you're taking this course for. Remember to start with ample distance, then work your way up to getting closer. If you're needing to work off of dogs, ask a friend or neighbor with a dog if they can help. That way you can control how much they're moving around and how far away they are from you, unlike dogs that you're opportunistically seeing in your neighborhood. You can also do this with people dressed as or posing as runners, people on bikes, etc., so you can have more control over these triggers at first. Here's the demo video again, now that you know how to work on the skill. You might notice here there's no distraction present. Just imagine that there is a distraction right before we're turning. All right, let's get started. And remember, if you have questions, we're here to help along the way.